the first topic was user management. The second topic is privilege management. So under privilege management, we have two type of grants, like one for common grants and one for local grant. Common means if you are granting something to common user, that is what we call as a common grant. Okay. And for granting a local user, that is what we call as a local grant. So now how to grant a specific privilege to a common user and how to grant a specific privilege to a local user. Okay. So for common grants, we have to be make sure like whatever users you are creating, specifically the common user, okay, C hash with the prefix. If you want to grant any create session privilege, so you have to use create session privilege to that particular username with a C hash privilege or C hash prefix. Okay, so suppose I want to create a user called C hash user underscore test. Okay, so we have the command in place like create user username identified by password and container equal to all, right? Now you want to grant a create session. Until unless you won't grant, you won't be able to connect to that particular user. To grant that particular privilege, we have a create session system privilege in place. So you have to use the command grant create session to C hashes user underscore test. Okay, so let me copy this and I will show you how to grant it. This is very similar to what we have done earlier. So for this we have to be in CDB. We are in CDB. We'll use this command like okay. First we have to create a user. Create user C hash C hash user test identified by Oracle account unlock. What can we use here? Container equal to all. Enter. It is created. Now I will grant create session to this user test. It is granted. Okay, so this is how we have to grant it in CDB if you are creating a common user. This is all what we call as a common grant. Okay, now we have a view called CDB underscore sys underscore prefs. Okay, if you'll click enter, you'll be getting this type of output. We have to set it call grantee for A20. Okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, like C has a user con ID means one means it is in CDB. Whatever privilege you have given, create session. Admin privilege is not there. Is it common to all in the CDB also? In the PDB also? No. Okay, that means it is only present in CDB. So this is how we can grant a privilege to a common user. Okay, so you can ask me like, can we use that container equal to all parameter? What can be your suggestion? Can we use that container equal to all parameter as well? Whether it will work or not? It should work or not? So because we are granting create session to C hashes user container equal to all, that means it worked because we have mentioned the C hashes privilege areas. Okay, sorry, C hashes prefix for a user. Now I have triggered this command again, CDB and sources under the prefix. So earlier we have only one user that was being granted with create session privilege. With admin option, no. Is it common? No. But when we have used this container equal to all, look, it is created in CDB as well and PDB as well. Look, is it common? Yes, yes. So I hope this thing is now clear. Like whenever you are using container equal to all, it will be created in PDB, CDB as well as it will be replicated in all PDBs. So this is what we call as a local grant, common grant, how we can give to a particular user. And with this command like show PDBs, you can see one means what? One connection ID means what? Always remember connection ID one means it is a CDB. Okay, con underscore show con underscore ID. So what do we see here is con ID is one. That means it is CDB root. So whenever it is con ID mentioned as one, that means you should understand it is for container database. And con ID 3, that means it is referring to a PDB. If con ID 4 is there, 5 is there, and corresponding to that the PDB name is there, then you should understand that the con ID represents the PDB name. And make sure that connection ID 1 is representing a container database, that is a CDB database. Now, how to revoke it? What will be the command for revoking it? I want to revoke it. Revoke create session privilege from C hashes user underscore test particular common user. If you use revoke create session from C hash as user underscore test, your revoke will be succeeded. You can validate it using this command as well, that whether it has been revoked or not. Look, it is revoked now. Okay. Let's say, this create session privilege has been granted to PDB as well, isn't it? Let me log into PDB. Alter session set container equal to enable PDB name. Now I want to revoke this create session privilege from PDB. Same command, you'll be getting an error. Why it is so? Always remember, you won't be able to revoke create session or any type of session privilege, system privilege sitting on PDB. This is a note that Oracle has provided, that we cannot revoke system privilege by logging to the PDB container pluggable database. Okay. Coming to local grant, what are the local grants we can give? You can create any user, you can grant. Normally, how we used to grant a select privilege to any user, how we used to grant a create session privilege, create table privilege. Similarly, the local user is similar to what we have done earlier in the past. Okay. No need to worry about that. Coming to the third part, common roles versus local roles. So what do you mean by roles? Under privilege management, we have two topics like grants and roles. Grants we have seen, like how to grant, how to revoke it in common user and local user. Now coming to roles. So for role related stuffs also, we have two type of roles, like how to grant to a common user, and this second is how to grant to a local user. How to create a common role, how to create a local role. Okay. So it is also very straightforward, like how we used to create a role. Let me connect to the database first. Tell me. Okay, create role name, right?
Yes.
Invalid common user or role name. Why it is so? Earlier it was working, but now it is not allowing me to do this. We are in CDB, but this is not allowing. Now I have logged into Pluggable Database and I'm using the same command what we are using in standalone servers. Look, this got created. So always remember, if you are creating a role, you are creating a user, you are granting a privilege, always remember the user should be a common user. There is no C hashes we have created, right? We didn't mention C hashes. That is why that role
Right.
is not able to identify this is for common user. Okay.
Mhm.
Create role for with C hash, grant select any table to that particular role, grant create table to that particular role, grant that. Okay. And you can identify with the help of this privilege called um, um, view called CDB underscore role underscore privileges. Okay. Similarly, this thing is very common, like common role grant. It is similar to what we have done earlier. But for container database, we have to mention C hash before granting a role, creating a user, granting a user. Okay. It's a very common thing.